The first time Amara saw blood on her mother's pillow, she didn't tell anyone. She was 14. Her mother had been coughing for 3 weeks, the kind that rattled the thin walls of their one-room apartment in Lagos. That morning, Amara found the pillowcase while her mother was at the market. Small rust-colored stains that hadn't been there the night before. She washed it by hand in the bathroom sink, scrubbing until her knuckles burned. Then she hung it in the sun and went to school like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. Her mother, Chidinma, sold vegetables at the Aja market. She woke at 4 a.m. and came home after dark, smelling like tomatoes and exhaustion. She never complained. She never sat down until Amara was fed. And now she was coughing blood into pillowcases that her daughter had to wash in secret. Amara knew they couldn't afford a hospital. They could barely afford rice. So she did what she always did, she studied. She studied until her eyes hurt, until the words blurred, until her scholarship exam scores were high enough that the universe might take pity on them. She studied because it was the only weapon she had against the life that was trying to crush them both. 3 years later, the universe answered. Not with pity, with a chain. The acceptance letter came from Yonsei University in Seoul. Full scholarship, international student program, room and board included. Her mother cried when she opened it. Not sad tears, proud ones, the kind that made Amara feel like she just won a war she didn't know she was fighting. You're going to be something? Her mother whispered, holding her face between rough palms. You're going to be more than this. Amara didn't want to leave. Her mother's cough had gotten worse. But Chidinma wouldn't hear it. You go, she said. You go and you don't look back. So Amara went. She arrived in Seoul in September, when the air was cold enough to hurt her lungs. The city was clean and fast and utterly indifferent to her existence. She shared a dormitory room with 3 other international students, 2 from Vietnam, 1 from the Philippines. They were kind but distant, busy with their own survival. Amara worked 2 part-time jobs, one at a convenience store near campus, the other cleaning offices at night. She sent most of her earnings back to Lagos, keeping just enough to eat. She didn't make friends. She didn't have time. But she noticed him. Everyone noticed him. His name was Kang Min-jun, and he moved through the world like someone who had never been told no. Tall, sharp-featured, with the kind of careless confidence that only money could buy. He was a business major. His family owned half the hotels in Gangnam. He drove a car that cost more than Amara would earn in 10 years. She hated him on sight. Not because he was rich, because he was careless. She watched him laugh in the library, throw away full meals in the cafeteria, show up late to lectures like the professor should be grateful he came at all. People orbited him. Girls whispered when he passed. Guys tried to sit near him, hoping some of that golden light would rub off. Amara kept her head down and stayed invisible. Until the day she wasn't. It happened in October during midterms. She was shelving books at the campus library, her 3rd job, because her mother's medicine cost more now, when she heard voices in the next aisle. I'm serious, a girl was saying. He asked me out. Min-jun? Another voice, high-pitched with disbelief. Yes, we're going to dinner tomorrow. You're lying. I'm not. He said I was different. Amara rolled her eyes and kept working. She didn't care about Kang Min-jun or whoever he was stringing along this week. But then she heard something that made her stop. Did you finish the economics paper? No. But Min-jun said he'd handle it. A pause. Handle it? He's paying someone to write it. He always does. Laughter. Light, easy, like cheating was just another word for clever. Amara's hands tightened on the book she was holding. She thought about the nights she'd stayed awake writing her own essays, the way her eyes burned from staring at her laptop screen in the dark while her roommates slept. She thought about her mother's cough, about the cost of every single word she wrote. And she thought about boys like Kang Min-jun who bought their grades like they bought everything else. She told herself to let it go. She didn't. 2 days later, she was walking past the administration building when she saw him coming out, laughing with 2 other guys. One of them clapped him on the shoulder. You're set, man. Professor Kim loved it. Min-jun grinned. Told you. Money talks. Amara's feet moved before her brain caught up. "Excuse me." He turned. All three of them did. Min-jun's eyes swept over her. A quick, dismissive glance. He didn't recognize her. Why would he? "Yeah?" he said. "You paid someone to write your paper." The smile slipped off his face. His friends went quiet. "What? Your economics paper. You didn't write it." His expression shifted, confusion, then irritation. "Who the hell are you? Does it matter?" "Yeah, actually, it does." He stepped closer. Not threatening, just entitled, like she was wasting his time. "You got a problem?" "I have a problem with cheaters." One of his friends laughed nervously. "Dude, she's crazy. Let's go." But Min-jun didn't move. He stared at her, really looked at her this time. His jaw tightened. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know exactly what I'm talking about." "Then prove it." She couldn't. She had no proof, just overheard gossip and her own anger. And he knew it. She could see it in his eyes, the way they narrowed with something close to amusement. "That's what I thought," he said. "Next time, mind your business." He walked past her, shoulder brushing hers, and she stood there shaking with a rage she didn't know she was capable of. She should have let it go. But people like Amara didn't survive by letting things go. She spent the next week digging. She asked questions. She watched. She learned that Min-jun had a guy, a grad student named Park, who wrote papers for cash. She learned that half the business department knew about it, but nobody cared because Min-jun's family donated enough money to build a whole new library wing. She learned that the system was rigged, and that people like her were supposed to smile and stay quiet. So she went to the dean. She brought everything, names, dates, transaction records she'd found on a careless email thread. She laid it out like evidence in a trial, and she waited for justice. The dean listened. He nodded. He thanked her for her concern. And then nothing happened. A week passed. Then two. Min-jun kept going to class. Park kept writing papers. The world kept spinning like Amara hadn't just tried to set it on fire. She was in the library when he found her. "You've got guts," Min-jun said, sliding into the chair across from her. "I'll give you that." She didn't look up from her book. "Get away from me. The dean called me into his office yesterday." Her heart lurched. "Finally. He showed me your little report. Very thorough." Min-jun leaned back, arms crossed. "My father made a phone call. It's gone now. All of it." Amara's hands went cold. "You're angry," he continued. "I get it. Life's unfair. But here's the thing, you can't win this. You know why?" She still didn't look at him. "Because people like you don't beat people like me. That's just how the world works." Finally, she raised her eyes. He was smiling. Not cruel, just certain. "You're wrong," she said quietly. "Am I?" "Yes." He laughed. "We'll see." He stood up, adjusted his jacket, and walked away. Amara sat there for a long time, staring at nothing. She thought about her mother's pillowcase, about blood and silence and things you can't wash away. And she made a decision. If the system wouldn't give her justice, she'd make her own. 3 months passed. Amara didn't report him again. She didn't confront him. She became a ghost, present but unseen, watching from the corners of lecture halls and cafeterias. She learned his schedule, where he ate lunch, which coffee shop he studied at, who his friends were, who he slept with and discarded. She wasn't stalking him. She was studying him, the way you study an opponent before a fight. But somewhere in all that watching, something shifted. She started noticing things she didn't want to notice, like the way he stayed late in the library sometimes actually reading, the way he helped an older professor carry boxes to her car, the way he sat alone at a table once, staring at his phone with an expression that looked almost tired. She hated that she noticed, because it meant he was human, and humans were harder to hate. It was December when everything changed. She was walking home from her night shift, freezing in her thin jacket, when she heard shouting. 2 men. An alley off the main street. One of them was holding someone against the wall. She should have kept walking. But then she heard a voice she recognized. I said I don't have it. Min-jun. She stopped. Your father owes us, one of the men said. You think you can just. My father's debt isn't mine. A fist to the stomach.
Min-jun doubled over, gasping.
Amara's body moved before her mind did. Hey! 3 faces turned toward her. The men looked annoyed.
Min-jun looked shocked.
Walk away, one of the men said. I'm calling the police. She pulled out her phone. She wasn't gonna call. She barely had credit. But they didn't know that. The men looked at each other. Then, with a disgusted sound, they shoved Min-jun to the ground and walked away. Amara waited until they were gone. Then she walked over to where Min-jun was sitting, one hand pressed to his ribs. You okay? He looked up at her. Blood on his lip. Hair messy. For the first time since she'd known him, he looked small. Why did you do that? I don't know, she said honestly. He laughed. A rough, painful sound. You hate me. Yeah. So why help? She thought about it. Because I'm not like you. He stared at her for a long moment. Then he stood up, wincing, and wiped his mouth. Thank you, he said quietly. She nodded and turned to leave. Wait. She stopped. Can I buy you coffee? To say thanks. I don't drink coffee. Tea then. Or food. Whatever. She should have said no. She had a paper due. Her mother needed medicine money. She had no business sitting in a cafe with Kang Min-jun. Fine, she said. But you're paying. His smile was small but real. Deal. They went to a 24-hour diner near campus. It was warm inside, smelling like fried rice and old coffee. They sat in a booth by the window. Min-jun ordered like he was feeding an army. Amara asked for soup. So, he said once the food came, you're the girl who tried to get me expelled. You deserved it. Probably. He picked at his food. But it didn't work. I noticed. You're stubborn. You're a cheater. He smiled. Fair. They ate in silence for a while. Then he asked, why do you care so much? About what? About me cheating. It doesn't affect you. She set down her spoon. You really don't get it, do you? Get what? Some of us don't have a choice. We can't fail. We can't coast. We can't buy second chances. She met his eyes. I work 3 jobs so I can stay here. I send money home every month so my mother can buy medicine. I study until I can't see straight because if I mess up, there's no safety net. No father to make phone calls. No money to fix my problems. She paused. And then I see you. You who could fail every class and still be fine. Who treats this place like a joke. And you're cheating. Like even the easy life you have isn't easy enough. Min-jun was quiet. When he finally spoke, his voice was different. Softer. You're right. She blinked. I'm an asshole, he continued. I've been an asshole my whole life. And I never thought about it because I didn't have to. He looked at her. But you're wrong about one thing. What? I'm not fine. And for just a moment, she saw something in his face. Something broken and hidden and true. Then the moment passed, and he smiled again. But hey, at least I'm a rich asshole, right? She didn't smile back. They finished eating. He paid like he promised. Outside, the street was empty and cold. Thanks again, he said. For earlier. Don't thank me. Just stop being a piece of shit. He laughed. I'll try. She started to walk away. Amara. She turned. She hadn't told him her name. How do you? I asked around. After you reported me. He shrugged. I wanted to know who was trying to ruin my life. And you're interesting. Is that supposed to be a compliment? I think so. She shook her head and walked away, but she felt his eyes on her back the whole way down the street. After that night, Min-jun wouldn't leave her alone. Not in an aggressive way. Worse, in a persistent, almost puppy-like way that made it impossible to ignore him. He started showing up at the library during her shifts. He'd sit at a table in her section, actually studying, occasionally looking up to catch her eye. When she ignored him, he'd leave books on her cart with sticky notes inside. Page 47 is wrong. The author's an idiot. This one made me think of you. Not sure why. Coffee?
There.
Soup?
I'm buying.
She threw most of them away, but she kept a few. She told herself she didn't know why. Her roommate noticed. Who's the guy? Lin asked one evening, watching Amara read one of the notes. Nobody. Nobody leaves that many notes for nobody. He's just persistent. He's cute. Amara looked up sharply. You don't even know what he looks like. Lin grinned. So he is cute. Drop it. But Lin was right. Min-jun was objectively handsome, the kind of handsome that didn't need effort. And that was exactly the problem. Beautiful things had always been dangerous in Amara's world. They distracted you, made you forget that survival wasn't about butterflies and warm feelings. It was about keeping your head down and your guard up. Still, when he showed up at the convenience store where she worked night shifts, she didn't send him away. You're stalking me, she said, scanning a customer's items without looking at him. I prefer showing interest. It's creepy. Is it working?
No.
He smiled. Liar. The customer paid and left. The store was empty except for them and the fluorescent lights humming overhead. Min-jun leaned against the counter. When do you get off? 2 a.m. That's late. I know. It's not safe. Walking home alone at that hour. I've been doing it for months. Doesn't make it safe. She finally looked at him. What do you want? To walk you home. Why? Because I want to. That's not a reason. It's the only reason I have. She studied his face. He looked sincere, which somehow made it worse. I don't need your help, she said. I know. So why are you here? He was quiet for a moment. Then, because you're the first person in a long time who's treated me like I'm not just a wallet with legs. She hadn't expected honesty. It disarmed her. That's pathetic, she said. But there was no heat in it. Yeah, he agreed. It is. When her shift ended, he was still there, waiting outside in the cold, hands in his pockets, breath coming out in small clouds. You're an idiot, she said. I've been told. They walked together through empty streets. Seoul at 2 a.m. was a different city. Quieter, sharper, like it had taken off its makeup and revealed something raw underneath. Can I ask you something?
Min-jun said.
Depends. Why do you work so hard? Because I have to. No, I mean, why here? Why Korea? You could have gone somewhere closer to home. She was quiet for a long time. The only sound was their footsteps on the pavement. My mother is sick, she finally said. She's been sick for years. The scholarship here, it came with a stipend. Enough to send money back every month. Enough to keep her alive. What's wrong with her? Tuberculosis. Advanced. She didn't get treatment early because we couldn't afford it.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Sorry doesn't fix anything. He nodded. They walked in silence for another block. My father is a piece of shit, Min-jun said suddenly. She glanced at him. Everyone thinks he's this successful businessman. Hotels, real estate, all that. He laughed bitterly. But he's drowning in debt. He borrows from dangerous people and he never pays them back. He just moves the pieces around. Makes it someone else's problem. The men in the alley. Yeah. Is that why you are the way you are? Careless. He thought about it. Maybe. When nothing feels real, why pretend it matters? That's a coward's answer. I know. They reached her dormitory. She stopped at the gate. Thanks for walking me, she said. Amara. What? Can I see you again? You'll see me at school. You know what I mean. She did. And that was the problem. I don't think that's a good idea. Why not? Because you're rich and I'm not. Because your world and mine don't touch. Because I can't afford distractions. Because you'll hurt me and I won't recover. Because, she said. He smiled sadly. That's not a reason. It's the only one I have. She went inside without looking back. But through the glass doors, she saw him standing there for a long time, hands in his pockets, watching the place where she'd disappeared. The next day, her mother called. Amara answered on the second ring, stepping out of class into the hallway.
Mga.
Her mother's voice was thin, stretched tight with pain. Amara, what's wrong? What happened? The medicine. They increased the price. I don't have enough. Amara's chest tightened. How much? Her mother told her. It was more than Amara made in a month, even with all 3 jobs. I'll figure it out, Amara said, trying to keep her voice steady. I'll send it. Just hold on, okay? Amara, you don't have to. I'll send it. I promise. She hung up and stood there in the empty hallway, staring at nothing. She did the math in her head. Even if she worked every shift available, even if she didn't eat, even if she somehow found a 4th job, it wouldn't be enough. Her mother was going to die because Amara couldn't make enough money fast enough. She slid down the wall and sat on the floor, arms wrapped around her knees. She didn't cry. She'd learned a long time ago that crying didn't solve problems. But she wanted to. That evening, Min-jun found her at the library. She was sitting in the back corner, staring at her laptop screen without seeing it. Hey, he said softly, sliding into the seat across from her. She didn't respond. Amara, go away. What happened? Nothing. Just go away. But he didn't. He sat there, patient and quiet, until finally she looked up. Her eyes were dry but desperate. How much money do you have? She asked. He blinked. What? In your account. Right now. How much? I don't know. I don't really check. She laughed. A hollow, bitter sound. Of course you don't. Amara, what's going on? And maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was desperation. Maybe it was because he was there and she had nobody else. But she told him. Everything. Her mother's TB. The cost of medicine. The impossible math. The fact that she was watching her mother die in slow motion and there was nothing she could do about it. When she finished, Min-jun was quiet. Then he pulled out his phone. What are you doing? She asked. How much do you need? What? How much? For the medicine.
Min-jun, enu.
How much? She told him. He typed something into his phone. A few seconds later, he showed her the screen. Transfer complete. She stared at it. What did you just do? Sent the money. To you. You can send it to your mother. I can't accept this. You already did. It's done.
Min-jun.
Don't. He put his phone away. Don't say you'll pay me back. Don't say thank you. Don't make this complicated. Why would you do this? He looked at her. Really looked at her with those dark eyes that seemed too old for his face. Because I can, he said simply. And you need it. That's all. She felt something crack open in her chest. Something that had been sealed shut for years. I don't understand you, she whispered. Good, he said. I don't understand me either. She sent the money to her mother that night. And when her mother called crying with relief, Amara cried too. Quietly, with her face buried in her pillow so her roommates wouldn't hear. After that, something changed between them. Amara stopped avoiding him. They started having coffee together between classes. Real coffee, not the cheap instant kind. He bought, she let him. She learned things about him. That he played piano. That he hated his father but loved his mother, who died when he was 12. That he was scared of being alone. That he used money like a shield because it was the only thing he knew how to trust. He learned things about her. That she liked mathematics because numbers didn't lie. That she missed the sound of rain on metal roofs. That she called her mother every Sunday at 6 p.m. without fail. That she was terrified of failing because failure meant death. They didn't talk about what was happening between them. That would make it real. But it was already real. She felt it in the way he looked at her. In the way she started checking her phone for his texts. In the way her chest tightened when he smiled. Terrified her. Because people like her didn't get to have people like him. That wasn't how the world worked. It was January when she met Ji-woo. Min-jun had invited her to a party. Some rich kid gathering at someone's penthouse apartment. She'd said no 3 times before finally agreeing, mostly because he'd looked so hopeful. The party was exactly what she'd expected. Expensive clothes, expensive alcohol, expensive people pretending they weren't bored. She felt like an alien. She was standing by the window trying to disappear when a woman approached her. She was beautiful in that effortless way. Long black hair, designer dress, smile like a knife. "You must be Amara," the woman said. "Do I know you?"
Ivo. Minjunes ex-girlfriend.
"Ah, nice to meet you," Amara said neutrally.
Ivo es smille sharpend.
"Is it? Excuse me. I've heard about you. The scholarship girl. The charity case." Jiwoo tilted her head. "You must be very grateful to him." Amara's jaw tightened. "I should go. Does he know?" "Know what? That you're just using him. For money. For status. For whatever it is girls like you use boys like him for." Amara turned to face her fully. "You don't know anything about me. I know enough. I know you come from nothing. I know you're desperate. And I know that when he gets bored, and he will, you'll be left with nothing again. Is that what happened to you?"
Ivo es smille vanished.
"Careful. Or what?" They stared at each other, tension crackling in the air between them. Then Min-jun appeared. "Jiwoo," he said coldly. "What are you doing?" "Just getting to know your new friend." Jiwoo glanced at Amara. "She's cute. In a scrappy kind of way." "Leave," Min-jun said. "This is my friend's party. Then I'll leave." He took Amara's hand. "Come on." They left the penthouse together. Outside, the night air was freezing.
"I'm sorry," Min-jun said.
"She's a bitch." He laughed despite himself. "Yeah. Why did you date her?" "Because she was there. Because it was easy. Because I didn't know any better." They walked to a nearby park and sat on a bench. The city lights reflected off the frozen pond. "She's right, you know," Amara said quietly. "About what?" "About me using you. You're not." "I took your money, Min-jun. For my mother. I took it and I didn't even hesitate. I offered. That doesn't make it okay." "Why not?" "Because now I owe you." "You don't owe me anything. That's not how the world works." "Then fuck how the world works." He turned to face her. "You want to know why I gave you the money? Because I wanted to. Because seeing you in pain hurt me. Because for the first time in my useless life, I could actually help someone who mattered."
Min-jun.
"I'm falling for you, Amara." The words hung in the cold air between them. "Don't," she whispered. "Too late. This is a mistake. Probably. We're from different worlds. I don't care. You will. Eventually. Then I'll deal with it eventually." He reached for her hand. "But right now, in this moment, I don't care about worlds or money or any of it. I just care about you." She should have pulled away. Should have stood up and walked away and never looked back. Instead, she kissed him. It was desperate and messy and tasted like mistakes. But it was real. So painfully, terrifyingly real. When they finally broke apart, she was crying. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Me too. This is going to hurt." "I know." "Then why?" He smiled sadly. "Because some things are worth the pain." They sat there holding each other while the world spun on, cold and indifferent, around them. Neither of them saw Jiwoo watching from across the street, phone in hand, already planning her revenge. For a while they were happy. It was a fragile, stolen kind of happiness, built on borrowed time and ignored warning signs. But it was theirs. Min-jun stopped going to parties, started actually attending classes, even wrote his own papers, though Amara had to check them for plagiarism just to be sure. "I'm a reformed man," he'd joke. "You're barely reformed," she'd reply. But she was smiling when she said it. Her mother's health stabilized. The medicine was working. For the first time in years, Chidinma's voice on the phone sounded strong. "You sound happy," her mother said one Sunday. "I am." "Is there a boy?" Amara hesitated. "Maybe." Her mother laughed. A real laugh, not the careful half-breath she'd been using for years. "Tell me about him." "He's complicated. All good men are. He's rich, Mama. Really rich. And I don't know if this is real." Or if I'm just convenient. Does he treat you well? Amara thought about it. About the way Min-jun remembered how she took her tea. About how he'd started learning Igbo phrases to surprise her. About the way he looked at her like she was the only person in the room. Yes, she said quietly. Then the rest is just noise. But the noise was getting louder. Ji-woo didn't attack directly. She was smarter than that. Instead, she planted seeds. Comment here. A rumor there. Whispers in the right ears about the poor girl who'd trapped Min-jun with her sad story. About how she was probably pregnant. About how his father would never accept it. The rumors spread like oil on water. Amara started noticing the looks. The whispers when she walked past groups of students. Someone left a note in her locker. Gold digger. She threw it away and said nothing. She'd survived worse. But then the university started asking questions. A financial aid counselor called her in. Asked about additional income sources. Asked if she was being supported by anyone. Why? Amara asked, defensive. We've received complaints. About your eligibility for scholarship funds. Complaints from who? I can't disclose that. This is ridiculous. I work 3 jobs. And yet you were recently seen at high-end establishments. Wearing expensive clothes. Those aren't mine. I borrowed them. From whom? A friend. We'll need documentation. Amara left the office shaking with rage. She knew exactly who had made the complaint. That evening, she confronted Min-jun. Did you buy me anything expensive? Anything I don't know about? He looked confused. What? No. Why? The university thinks I'm being financially supported. They're threatening my scholarship. His face darkened.
Yivo-o.
You think. I know. She's done this before. To another girl I dated. And you didn't think to warn me? I didn't think she'd go this far. Of course she would. I'm a threat. I'm everything she's not. Amara.
No.
This is my life, Min-jun. My future. I can't lose this scholarship. You won't. I'll fix it. How? I'll talk to her. I'll make her stop. And if she doesn't? He didn't have an answer. But it got worse. 2 days later, Amara received a call from home. It was her mother's neighbor. You need to come back, the woman said. Your mother collapsed. The world tilted. What? The medicine stopped working. She's in the hospital. It's bad. Amara couldn't breathe. How bad? The woman was crying. Just come home. Amara booked the first flight she could afford. It left in 2 days. She withdrew everything from her bank account. It wasn't enough for both the flight and the hospital bills, but it would have to be. She didn't tell Min-jun. Not at first. But he figured it out when he found her packing. What are you doing? Going home. Why? She told him. He immediately pulled out his phone. I'll buy you a ticket for tonight. First class.
No.
Amara. I said no. Why not? Because I can't keep taking from you. This is your mother. I know. She was crying now, angry and scared and desperate. I know. And that's exactly why I can't. Because every time I take something from you, I lose a piece of myself. And I don't have many pieces left. He stared at her. So you'd rather let her die than accept my help? That's not fair. None of this is fair. They stood there, both breathing hard, the space between them suddenly miles wide.
I'm sorry, Amara whispered.
But I have to do this myself. Why? Why do you have to do everything alone? Because that's who I am.
No.
That's who you think you have to be. She picked up her bag. I have to go. When will you be back? I don't know. Amara. She kissed him, quick and desperate. I love you, she said. But I can't let you save me. She left before he could respond. If this story touches you and you're rooting for completion, please subscribe, like and share. Comment your insights and tell us where you're watching from.